Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Only Stupid Answers. This is a show where we answer your questions about movies and TV shows and comic books and Rings of Power and Houses of Dragons. I'm your host, DJ. With me, as always, is your other host, Roxy. Hi, Roxy.
Hello.
And if you're watching live, which is something you can do on patreon.com/onlystupidanswers, you missed, if you're not doing that, you missed a whole conversation of us talking about the heat wave we're currently living through and public transit and other fun things like that.
It's that heat wave burning inside. And I sing the whole song.
Yeah.
So make sure you become
you got to go to that. You got to become a patron so you don't miss out on that stuff. Also, if you listen on Spotify, we ask a question every week. Last week's question was, what did you think of the House of the Dragon premiere? Xavier Thomas said, dead babies, general mutilation, and full nude sex scenes. I'd say Game of Thrones is back, baby. Heart you guys. Flynn Savage says, in the middle, going to give it 2 more episodes before I make my final decision. Yashu Wazalewski says, better than I expected, but so far not as good as the original Game of Thrones. And William Niles Wilson says, hugely agree with you two. Hated the 2 scenes Roxy disliked and wasn't sold on the pilot like DJ. I think the show has potential. I will say, though, the cinematography was notably better than Game of Thrones. I don't know. I thought it was pretty on point. I thought Game of Thrones cinematography was pretty on point, and I thought it was pretty similar. But anyway, that was me responding to William Niles Wilson.
It was so confusing what you just did, DJ.
Yeah. Yes. You're welcome. You're welcome, everybody. You're welcome. Speaking of Patreon, I also do a show with Sal called Spider-Versity. We're almost finished with Spider-Man Animated Series Season 2. And there's going to be a poll coming up soon where you get to vote whether we're going to continue with Season 3 of Spider-Man Animated Series or we'll move on to the Spectacular Spider-Man Animated Series. So be sure to keep your eyes out for that. But before we talk about our main topic, which is Rings of Power, which just as of this recording literally just dropped 2 chunky 60-plus minute episodes, we're going to talk about some news. First up, Roxy, we got the shocking, utterly unexpected news that there's not going to be a DC Fandom this year.
Yeah. Zaslav was like, nah.
Yeah.
Zaslav was like, let me think about this. So what you're telling me is fans aren't stoked with me.
Yeah.
I care a lot about my bottom line. And you want me to throw an event that costs us money for the fans?
Nah. Yeah, you want me to spend money to talk about projects that I'm actively trying to get rid of? Nah, I'm good.
I think that your tweet was amazing, DJ, about the funeral that they would be. Yeah,
he's just they're burning copies of Batgirl, like staring dead into the camera while he's doing it for 9 hours.
I remember when everything was coming out at Comic-Con, and I said, I think this is a big bummer that DC is not appearing so heavily here because they're not going to do a DC Fandom this year. And everybody tweeted at me, of course they're doing a DC Fandom this year. They're doing a DC Fandom this year. They're going to do a DC Fandom. That's where all this stuff is coming. That's why they didn't have anything at Comic-Con. And I was like, okay. Yeah. I just love when the internet pretends like they actually know something as fact.
Yes.
Because
they love that. That's their favorite thing.
Yeah, I wasn't like they're not going to do it. And I know for sure. I was just like, listen, I've been doing DC. I did DC movie news for the majority of 8 years. Yeah. I kind of know how they maneuver sometimes. They're not going to be doing a fandom this year. And everybody's like, yes, they are. And they're going to get the announcement of X, Y, and Z. And then Zaslav started to do more of what Zaslav was doing. And I was just like, there's no way. I mean, homie's not ready to make any kind of announcements. And the announcements he is ready to make, we're not ready to hear.
Yes, 100%.
I am not ready to hear Zaslav get on stage, and by Zaslav get on stage, I mean whoever his pundit is, whoever, and be like, "The Flash, y'all ready?
Yeah,
it's gonna be Ezra." Like, I don't. Okay, and worst case scenario, he actually sends Ezra on stage.
Yes,
yes, and it's like. No. And then Aquaman, I mean, they're not ready to address the Amber Heard situation. Clearly, everything keeps getting pushed anyway. So you're not going to address that. You're not going to talk about Batgirl and what happened. You're not going to come on stage and be like, that was a tax write-off.
Yeah.
And you for some reason, still not greenlit a Man of Steel 2. So what actually would be Fandom?
Yeah. What would be talking about? And I think that's the bump, because I think there was like a hope, at least with me, there was this kind of hope. It was like, okay, maybe Comic-Con was a little light because they're saving stuff for a Fandom. And like you said, as things became clear, it's like, yeah, what are you even going to talk about that's not depressing as fuck? From what I understand, Flash and Shazam and Aquaman got punted because they don't even have the money to do marketing pushes for movies other than like Black Adam. And it's like, right. what the fuck are you even doing? Mean? Yeah, what are you doing?
Even TV show wise, DJ, if we move over to my one true love, television.
Yeah.
What is happening with DCTV right now? Okay, so we kind of don't have an Arrowverse anymore. However, Superman and Lois.
Yeah, but that show is confirmed that it takes place in an alternate universe from the Arrow and Flash.
Right, but okay, so that's like the last thing left of that CW world, in which you've told us is making no money, so you're selling it. Any CW is getting the sale anyway. So then we've got like our Doom Patrol, Titans world, whatever that's the grittier world. I don't know that that's something that anybody right now is like holding on to.
Yeah.
Possibly. I like some parts of Titans. Not all. I like Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
Peacemaker, I guess, is the one that people are like, yep, you got us on that one, and Harley the animated series.
Yeah.
But then did I see that they're canceling the Batman animated show?
They were working on a new Batman animated series that they are now shopping to other networks, which is fucking...
Shopping to other networks.
Yeah, right. Wild.
Shopping to other networks. I think I saw maybe Netflix was interested or something.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you guys in TV? Here's what I know about Marvel. Marvel's like, you know what we do on TV? Here's the 7 shows we're putting out this year in this one platform.
Yep.
You want to watch Marvel TV? Get Disney Plus. You got Disney Plus? Here you go with Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, She-Hulk, Let's Go, whatever, WandaVision, and boom, boom, boom. I'm not saying DC needs to do that because DC needs to do their own thing, but I don't even know where to watch DC shows.
Yeah.
Sandman be on Netflix.
Yep. Yep.
Where are you? CW, some on HBO. Remember when there was DC Universe?
Yeah.
DC.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where I don't even know where some of your shows are, and I love DC.
Yeah.
So I think that should some announcements be made? Yeah, you guys desperately need it. Clearly, you're not there yet.
Is there is this like the time is darkest before the dawn? Is it going to like get better, or is this just what we're in for? Like there's just a continual dismantling until there's nothing left.
Well, both.
Okay.
One or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know that it could get much more disorganized.
Fair.
But the problem is, what we are not hearing is anybody come out and say, is it Dan Lin? Is that his name now?
Not his name now. Yeah, I believe that's the name of the person that they're looking to lead DC. So
what we're not hearing is our number one priority is creating content that you guys love. And here's the ways we're intending on doing that. And we hear you, and here's what we want to deliver. What we are hearing is we've got no money.
Yeah.
We've got to make cuts. We're focusing on tax write-offs. And, so we got to axe entire departments, HBO Max, whatever's happening over there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we are hearing. So I don't feel confident, DJ, but also it is a business. They do have to care about their bottom line. They have to tighten up before they can move forward. It might take a couple of years for them to fully give us any semblance of hope. And DJ, I don't know how you feel about this. I would love to know. I feel like there's 2 direct paths that they could take right now, and I don't know which one they should take.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my job to know, but it's my job to speculate.
Yeah.
Number 1, continue on the path they're on, as in sometimes hit singles, do things like the Joker, sometimes do things that involve our Justice League actors. So that includes Ezra, Ben, may or may not include Ezra, depending on if they're in prison or not. Ben, Henry, Gal, and Jason, and then also Margot Robbie, and the people that we put together, and also continue to do your one-offs like Robert Pattinson's Batman, whatever. So just keep doing what they're doing, and sometimes make good movies, and sometimes not. And there's not really a through line or a cohesive, but we would get a Man of Steel 2, and we would continue with another Shazam and Black Adam movie. Okay, so that's one thing. Yeah. Or second option, scrap it all, start again. Yeah. And I don't mean scrap it all as in we wouldn't see Black Adam or Shazam. Those are in the can.
Yeah.
Although apparently that doesn't mean much.
I was thinking the same thing when we were talking about Titans and Doom Patrol. It's like, I'm pretty sure they have filmed both those shows' new seasons, but I'm still not confident we will see them.
They're very nice tax write-offs.
Yeah.
So, or we decide, actually, in 2025, we are rebooting the entire DC everything. We're going to get a new Batman and a new Superman or a new whatever.
Yeah.
And or not even a whole Justice League. We're starting with a new Superman.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a new Superman movie because there hasn't been one since 2014.
Yeah.
And in 2005 and 2025 and 2005, what year am I in?
Yeah.
You guys are going to get your new Superman and it's a new Superman movie, and we'll see where it goes from there, kind of thing. You know?
I don't know what they're going to do, but I think you're kind of at a point where you have to start over. Like you just have to. You have to, between the Ezra and Ben Affleck may or may not wanting to be a part of anything. I think it's like, I think you do a Wonder Woman 3, you do an Aquaman 3, and you kind of wind down this whole situation. And then for me, I would say we're building off the Batman. The Batman is part of our new thing. That is our Pats is the new Batman. We'll introduce a Superman in that universe, a Wonder Woman in that universe, and we build off of that.
I think that is a very interesting option. However, I really like the Batman universe, and obviously Gotham doesn't have to be anything close to representative of Metropolis because those are two very different cities. However, the time period in which the Batman movie takes place, I know that we've got phones in it, but it looks like the 90s with phones.
Yeah, but he's also got like the contact lenses. Yeah,
the contact lenses and the computers and the chats of people, of incels and stuff. So it's got all that, but the look of it is very like grunge 90s. And so I do wonder if we're introducing into that universe, who would be, this is an interesting thought experiment, DJ.
Yeah.
Who would be a Superman that you think would fit with Robert Pattinson's Batman?
An actor?
Yes. Or if not an actor, like a type. Hopefully an actor, but if you can't think of one, I'm obviously putting you on the spot.
Yeah. I think the reason I feel confident that you could build off of the universe is because of the Batman, is because there are already heightened elements like the contact lenses and stuff, and the fact that Riddler can basically appear and do whatever he needs to whenever he wants to. But it also, vibe-wise, it reminds me a lot of the original Batman the Animated Series, the Bruce Timm Paul Dini Batman the Animated Series, where it has kind of like a retro future, like they're using like they have old-timey radios while a villain's using a laser. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a grab bag of stuff. And they built a universe off of that. You know what I mean? So if you can build a universe off of Batman the Animated Series, I feel like you can build off of the Batman. And I am a big believer that Metropolis and Gotham should feel like night and day. They should feel super different. As far as to your question about an actor, I think it's tough with Superman because I always kind of feel like it is good to get
someone British.
Someone British. No, kind of an unknown. Like we had a lot of luck with Christopher Reeve. And I just feel like Henry Cavill was not necessarily unknown, but obviously that raised his profile a lot. And so it's tough for me to think of like, I feel like he might be a little too old at this point But I thought of Henry Golding from Crazy Rich Asians.
So good.
Yeah, I just think it would be good. I think he'd be a good fit. He's got the look, like
he has the look.
Yeah. And he has that charm, especially in, like, I know in Snake Eyes he was kind of doing the gritty hard ass thing, but in Crazy Rich Asians he's got like the charm. Like he's like, oh, I believe in this guy. I also think he'd be a good Bond. Whatever. I think he'd be good. I think we should put him in more things, I think is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. Obviously it's not the right age, but it is interesting that if we could freeze time, a Superman like Nicolas Cage's Death of Superman Lives and paired with a Robert Pattinson Batman, like that kind of feel would be so wild. What a different version we would see.
That would be awesome. I also think Nicolas Cage would make a great Lex Luthor. Just looked it up. Actually, Robert Pattinson is a year older than Henry Golding, so he might be the perfect age.
Ooh. Let me pitch you a couple other people whose names have been thrown around.
Yes.
Because I have taken control over the Superman segment and forced
Go for it. Go for it.
We have continuously heard Michael B. Jordan, Michael B. Jordan, Michael B. Jordan. Any thoughts on Michael B. Jordan with Robert Pattinson's?
Weirdly, with that, I don't know that. Like, I think because Michael B. Jordan, the best work I've seen him do is usually like conflicted, kind of angry young men. Like you think of Creed, you think Black Panther, you think stuff like that. I don't know that I see him as a Clark Kent Superman. He is talented enough that I'm sure he could do a good job with it. However, when you put it in the context of Michael B. Jordan against Robert Pattinson, like just acting, not necessarily like they're opposing forces, but acting against him, that is very compelling to me. Those two actors in those two roles together, that is very interesting to me, and I would be very interested in seeing that.
What do you think about going with Liam Hemsworth, especially after this year we heard that Liam Hemsworth was almost our Thor?
Nothing against Liam Hemsworth. Have you seen him in anything where you're like, oh, cool?
Yeah, I love the Hunger Game movies.
I haven't seen those.
Oh,
when I think Liam Hemsworth, I think he was in it. I think Expendables 2, and it's like, okay. Like he just shows up as like, hey, I'm pretty. And you're like, yeah, you are. And then that's it.
You know who could be good? Only because I think he's the most handsome boy out there, but he's also very talented and like has good guy energy. You know, I think I've talked about him on the show before. Do you know who Jesse Williams is?
Hold on. I feel like I should. Why am I drawing a blank?
He's from Grey's Anatomy, but
yeah.
He's got like chiseled look and hottie and good guy energy.
Another actor. Hold on. That obviously is getting a lot of play right now, and I actually kind of think he might be miscast in the big superhero role he's in. Is Jonathan Majors, who's obviously cast as Kang, and it's like he's going to do great as Kang. He was fine in Loki, but he did such a good job as like in Lovecraft Country that it's like, yeah, he should be a good guy. He puts off mad good guy energy. I think he's playing the antagonist in Creed too, so he's going down a villain route. I think I'd rather see him in more good guy roles, but whatever makes him happy.
Do you think there is any world in which we could, cause different universes, start over with Henry Cavill as Superman with Robert Pattinson?
I think you could. I don't think they would. I think if you bring Henry Cavill back, and who knows why, I'm actually very interested to find out if there's like a reason why we've kind of like, does Henry Cavill not want to? Do they not like working with him? Like, is there a thing that we don't know about? Anyway.
No, it keeps seeming like he wants it.
If you bring Henry Cavill back, I think you're committing to the universe you have. And I think there's just too much fucking baggage with it. I think between all the actor drama, I think between the Snyder Cut people, I think you just need to let it I think you just need to let it die. And the good thing is, I don't know, I feel like we'll be getting a Wonder Woman 3 sooner rather than later. You could launch a whole new Justice League universe without Aquaman. And so you could do Aquaman 3 with Jason Momoa, finish that out because that movie's making you money. And just, you asked me, you gave the two options. What do you think they're going to do?
Think they're going to do, or what do I want them to do?
Either.
I don't think there's going to be a hard anything.
Yes.
I think everything's going to be soft and squishy.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a safe bet.
So I think what they're going to do is we're definitely going to see Shazam. We're definitely going to see Black Adam. They seem to be, in every iteration, Zaslav included, everyone seems to be obsessed with The Rock. Probably because he's one of the last living celebrity A-list stars.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a Shazam. I think we're going to get a Black Adam. And then I think we are going to get a Black Adam versus Shazam. I think we are going to get a third Aquaman movie, probably. I think we are going to get a third Wonder Woman movie. And I think simultaneously we are going to get a second Batman movie.
The Batman?
Second The Batman. I wonder if it will be called The Batman 2.
It should be The Batman TOO, The Batman 2.
Yeah. I'm the Batman 2. Hello.
I count two.
About Ben. I'm also the Batman.
I'm also the Batman.
So I think we're going to get that. And then possibly another Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about like what James Gunn is doing.
Yeah, sorry, possibly another The Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that's a good point, because between what James Gunn is doing and Black Adam, are they kind of committed? Oh, man.
So, and then that might close out an era.
Yeah.
And while we're doing that, we might be starting to do other things, I guess, because, yeah, I think it's all going to be soft and squishy. I don't think that they would be like, let's lean into this right now. And I don't think they're going to be, but maybe not. I don't see what their bottom line looks like. And that seems to be what the decisions are based off of. So we could
100%.
We could get a lot of different things that we haven't even thought of. Like, people could be getting the axe. They could keep Gal and Jason and cut everybody else.
Yeah.
They could. I don't specifically mean Gal and Jason, but
yeah, whoever. Yeah. I think that it's fun. Like, because when he said on the phone call, like, we're gonna have a 10-year plan, and the implication being like exactly the way Marvel has a 10-year plan, we're gonna have a 10-year plan. But more realistically, it'd be like 5 years to phase out what we're doing.
Yes.
And then 5 years to like introduce kind of the new thing.
Yes, and I don't think I mentioned Flash, but I do think we're gonna be seeing Flash. And I do think they are fully intending on having us see Flash with Ezra Miller. Yeah,
I think if it were me, I would try and they, because I guess they were already trying to work on this, but I'd commit to it more. Kind of sneak in a soft reboot in the Flash, and it's like, to the point where the movie ends with Ezra being replaced as Barry Allen in the movie. Like, it ends with him being replaced as Barry Allen in the movie.
I just don't know that Ezra Miller can even shoot anything right now.
Yes, I think you're right.
So how are we like?
Apparently they went in for reshoots. Apparently they did, while all this drama was going on, they did reshoots with Ezra
and meetings and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Like on a Tuesday, you're breaking into somebody's home, but on a Wednesday, you at the WB lot.
Yeah. When you put it that way, they're living the dream.
I guess.
Oh my goodness. A new guy says Discovery is legitimately burning WB to the ground for the insurance. They don't give a single flying fuck about the content or the fans. Leonard Kim says, don't forget Stargirl. Ooh, how could we forget Stargirl? She's in there somewhere. I think she's still on CW.
Where does Stargirl air?
It's CW.
But used to be DC Universe HBO Max, right?
Yes. Used to be DC Universe. I don't know if it was ever HBO Max. It was CW. So we'll see.
It's confusing.
It is confusing. And I think that would be the big thing, is to make it less confusing.
Now on Discovery Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what?
Yeah. God damn it. God fucking damn it.
Speaking of which, it's really funny. I'm looking through all these lists as I was talking to you about Superman, and the number one on a lot of these lists that came out 4 years ago is Army Hammer. And I'm like,
oopsie daisy.
Because his Discovery Plus doc dropped yesterday. Or last night.
Oh,
I cannot wait to watch.
Okay, it's wild that he has his own. It's the true crime doc, right?
It's the House of Hammer one with the aunt revealing all the secrets, but I don't know anybody with Discovery Plus, so we'll see if they end up putting it on HBO. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll find out. Oh my god, yeah, he was another one. There was a lot of speculation that he was going to be Green Lantern for a while, and it's just all the cat. It feels like, and this is hyperbolic, but like all the casting for that DC universe was just bad. It was just oopsies. It was all oopsies down the line. I will say this, and maybe we'll have time for me to talk about it more in what we're into. I watched 3,000 Years of Longing, the new George Miller joint. And
Dorina saw that.
It is very good. I thought it was very good. George Miller is very good at movies. And I was like, I wonder if you could bring him back to do a Justice League. And I also wonder if he would still be interested, because watching his movies, especially this and like Fury Road, I think he's very connected to like big mythic storytelling. And I think that would be very cool, but I kind of wonder if the appeal would still be there for him now, because when he was going to do his Justice League, that was pre-Avengers, that was pre all this stuff, and now it's such a ubiquitous part of our storytelling that it doesn't have that kind of mythic, mysterious, larger than life feel anymore. It's just kind of like the next thing that's in theaters, So, but it would be interesting to see him. Again, if I were in charge, I'd be like, hey, George Miller, you want to do a Justice League again? We'll get you. It won't be Armie Hammer as Batman, but it'll be Robert Pattinson, which I think in everybody's book, even before the news, would be a trade up. So
that would be interesting.
Please and thank you. Let's make it happen. So let's take an ad break and then go to talk about Rings of Power. Oh my God, here we go. We are talking about Rings of Power. Just right now, I didn't know if you had this off the top of your head. I'm assuming not. I'm going to look up how much does each episode of Rings of Power...
It's the most expensive show ever. It cost them $1 billion.
It cost them okay. So when you say, Roxy, it cost them $1 billion,
it was $250 for the rights and $750 million for the actual first season. That's what
just for the first season.
For this first season.
God damn it! Also, they've already committed. They're doing 50 episodes. They've committed to doing 5 seasons of this show.
Yeah.
That's insane. Wait, hold on. Wait, how much? Hold on. How much was the last season?
$75 million per episode for this show.
How much was How much was the last season of Game of Thrones? Oh my fucking God. Okay, so season 6. This is season 6 of Game of Thrones. So I don't know about the later seasons, but season 6 of Game of Thrones reportedly cost $100 million, and you're telling me this season of Rings of Power cost 4 times that, 5 times that.
Yeah, I'm saying that.
I haven't. Why? What happens in the? Okay. Hold on. Wait, we should get our. So you, Roxy, you had an opportunity to watch the first episode. I watched the first 2.
Yeah. I'm not even kidding you, DJ. I'm going to need you to explain to me like the synopsis other than
I got you.
Galadriel knows evil's coming. Other people don't know evil's coming.
Mm-hmm.
She thinks at least. Other people disagree. And then Hugo Weaving Mini.
Yeah. Kirkland brand Hugo Weaving.
Creating something. Doing something that I'm not clear about. Creating rings. Create something. And then the big monster is Sauron's kid.
It is Sauron. The big monster is Sauron.
No. There's another one that we see. The one that falls.
That's not a bad person. That's a good person.
Okay, DJ.
Here's my confusion, Roxy. You actually did a pretty good job. That's all the first episode is Galadriel like, I think Sauron's still kicking around. And everybody's like, nah. And that's the episode. That's the episode of TV that they spent $400 million on.
Can you give me more details?
I can try, but I actually think you did a pretty good job summing it up. I will say this, because it sounds like right off the bat I'm dunking on the show a lot. I thought the first two episodes were fine. I thought they were perfectly fine. I think there's elements, there's moments that are pretty cool. So we see proto-hobbits that I think are called Harfoots. And we see their little like hidey holes and I was like, that's cool. That gives me a cool fairy tale feel. I'm into that.
Give me the words you just used again. Proto-hobbit?
Yeah, so the hobbits we have in the show are called Harfoots. Harfoot, I believe is how it's spelled. Harfoots.
Are the hobbits in this show?
Yeah, which I believe is a race name and not like their family name. I think that's just what we call hobbits at this point.
And have we heard of any of these people?
I'm sure a hardcore Lord of the Rings fan. Are you talking about individual characters or like Harfoots in general?
Both.
I think the characters we get from the original Lord of the Rings are Galadriel, Elrond, and the guy that falls from the sky. I think we'll get into that.
Tell me about homie who fell from the sky.
So the homie that fell from the sky is a wizard. We haven't, but that has not been confirmed yet. But nobody said the words wizard or anything.
And who's this wizard? We know him?
I feel so in the second episode, he's having trouble communicating with the Harfoots because it looks like he's all scrambled from falling from the heavens. But he does whisper to some fireflies. I have a bad feeling that it's supposed to be Gandalf, which I think is a mistake for this show because Ian McKellen's Gandalf is so fucking iconic.
Wait, Gandalf is the dude that fell?
Yes. It is definitely a wizard. It is most likely Gandalf. Which for hardcore Lord of the Rings, so for hardcore, when you watch the second episode, it'll probably be clearer. When you watch the second episode, they spell that out more. Any hardcore, we're gonna get out of my depths pretty fucking quick. I did read a little bit of the appendices of Lord of the Rings. I read a little bit of the Silmarillion, but I know hardcore Lord of the Rings fans are a little bothered because this is in the second age, and I guess wizards didn't show up till the third age. And
people seem to be bothered because something about somebody was not supposed to be here at this point, or was supposed to.
I think that's the wizard. Wizards
Sauron. He was already supposed to have been reigning.
I don't know. All I know from a narrative perspective, I feel like when everybody's going like, I think Sauron's back. It's like, wait, we did this in Lord of the Rings. Like we've already done this bit. Like you can't. It's like 100,000 years in the past or something. We can't do a different. Although the setup is different because in this one, Sauron is being built up as the big bad. He's the general of the prior big bad, which was Morgoth. We get all this in a very excruciatingly long exposition dump at the beginning of the episode.
So that part was like mind numbing to me. I was like, "What is happening? Wait, what?"
Yeah. So my understanding, and here's this touches on a larger point I have, Roxy. I think the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies. Shocking, are very, very good. I think those are very, very good movies. I think they do a good job adapting the source material. They have a cool tone. They have a cool vibe. I like them. However, Lord of the Rings, I think, functions on a very like broad fantasy fable like structure that I don't think lends itself, like Game of Thrones lends itself to serialized modern storytelling because it's more about political machinations and what people want. I don't know that Lord of the Rings lends itself to this specifically because at a certain point you have to get beyond mythic vibes and get to like practical stuff. So you saw in the episode you watched, Galadriel says, no, I'm not going to the Grey Havens or whatever it's called at this point. I'm going to dive off this boat. And I don't know, is she just planning on swimming back? Do elves get tired? We know their elves are functionally immortal, except we have a flashback of her brother being like, I won't always be there, except based on the information we're given at that point, he should think he will always be there. Like they say death hasn't arrived yet.
Is her brother the one who puts down the sword?
Which one? What?
Who's her brother?
Her brother is the guy at the very beginning of the episode.
Who puts down his sword? They're all around and he's like, I'm not coming with you.
No, he's dead at that point. He's Soup's dead. The brother is the one at the very beginning with
this
like,
is all over my head.
You know why?
Actually, you haven't explained it, DJ.
Okay.
I need you to explain it as if I didn't watch the episode. I actually feel so stupid. I found this to be very over my head.
Okay.
I was like, wait, I couldn't listen to the thing at the beginning. I was listening to it and I was just like, maybe it was because I had worked an 18-hour day, but I was like,
I'm sure that didn't help.
They were just throwing in all this exposition. I was like, wait, what?
I got you.
Yeah,
Here we go. Okay. So we open with an exposition dump that basically explains. Actually, we open with Kid Galadriel, which I have questions about why immortal beings are having kids, but whatever. We open with Kid Galadriel, and she talks to her brother, and her brother's like, boats float because they look to the sky, and rocks sink because they look at the ground. Sure. I won't know.
Also, like, it's not what actually happens. Boats.
Again, that's the mythic aspect of it. But I think what's more confusing is when he says, I won't always be there. And then in her monologue, she's like, death hadn't come yet. It's like, then why is he thinking he won't be there? Death doesn't exist yet. Anyway, whatever.
Right. Because at that point, he should think he's always going to be there.
Yeah.
Right?
Why is he saying that other than that's how we write these scenes? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Anyway, so, and so I think that probably doesn't help either. Anyway, big bad Morgoth shows up in Middle Earth, which is where all Lord of the Rings take place. The elves decide, hey, we need to stop this. So they sail.
And we know who Morgoth is, or we do not.
Morgoth, I guess we don't. I do because I read some of the extra Lord of the Rings stuff. He was Sauron before Sauron.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, I think I'm supposed to know who this is, but I do not.
Yeah. Cool. Good job. The show did a good job. So they're like, we need to stop that. They sail over there. Big war happens. We are given hints. This is not explained in the episode.
War, they did a good job filming
it looks like it cost a lot of money.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this is where the money went.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. Yeah. So they fight. It's bad. Her brother dies. She's convinced Morgoth's number one general, Sauron, is still kicking around. So she spent centuries.
So that's okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she spent centuries looking for evidence of Sauron. It is funny, in the episode you didn't watch, she runs into a human that's like, oh yeah, my village was fucked up by orcs. And I'm like, wait, time out. She spent hundreds of years looking for Sauron, and she has not talked to one human in that time. not one human being that's just like, oh no, we get fucked up by orcs all the time. You didn't know?
Wait, but in this, what happens then? So she decides she's gonna look for him, and she's in that like cave, with those people in a circle.
Yeah, which has one of my favorite exchanges when her number two guy is like, listen, we're getting to the point where it's dark all the time. We need to stop. Like this part is scary. We need to give up on looking for the bad guys. It's like, well, no, of course the bad guys are going to be the dark, scary part. Where have you been? Are you new? Why are we stopping? This is clearly where we need to go.
So who's this guy? And why when he quit, did everybody else quit?
I guess they're all tired and pissy about searching for somebody they don't want to believe exists anymore. I think the show is implying they think that she's basically Ahab and Sauron is her white whale, and they need to give up on it. And the king...
And at this point, she is what to them?
Their general.
So, but they all quit because number two quit, even though she said, let's keep going?
Yes.
Okay, that part was weird to me too. I was just like, y'all non-verbally just all put down your swords. Like, one dude puts down his sword, you're supposed to be following her, and then y'all were like, yeah, I guess we put down our sword. I was like, did I miss something? Is he more powerful than she is?
I think what we learn is, and he says a little bit, is that the king wants them to stop, so they all have the backing of the king, which is why the king's like, hey, you all get to go back to the homeland. Get the fuck out of here.
But he waited to tell them that until that moment?
No, I think she just kept pushing. She knew that this was supposed to be their like last hurrah. And she's like, no, I'm going to keep pushing. And they're like, nah, dog, we're done. That
felt like we need to tell this story in under 5 lines. So quickly, but anyway, okay.
I also don't think it helps.
I am not shitting on this. I've never felt as stupid as I felt watching this episode of TV.
I also don't think that it helps that the elves are saddled with the clunkiest dialogue and the kind of the most stilted scenes. So it's hard to be, and there's like no, they're all doing a Vulcan bit so they're not really emoting. And it's just like, it's just tough. Like, it's just tough. That stuff is kind of tough to get through. It made me really, and this is kind of goes to another thing. It made me appreciate Cate Blanchett and fucking Hugo Weaving more for their ability to play these like above human characters in a way that like, oh no, I understand this person's wants and desires and goals. Like this makes sense to me. And it gets to a broader question I have. We just talked about how bloody expensive the show went. And it's like, so when we talk about House of the Dragon, which I'll look up how much House of the Dragon cost. How much does House of the Dragon cost?
Yo, episode 2 of that show fucking slapped.
So it's it's half of it's a little less than half of Rings of Power. It's $200 million. But in House of the Dragon, we have Patty Considine, we have Rhys Ifans, we have Matt Smith, we have these people that Olivia are like, Cook. Olivia Cook, like, yeah, I know these I'm whatever. And it's like, we don't have one of those for Rings of Power. Not a single recognizable name or face that, like, I just feel like it would help. I feel like it would help.
I hear you.
I'm interested now that I'm talking to you.
I need you to keep going.
So Gladriel is sent to sail back to the basically Elf Heaven, the Elf homeland, which is also Elf Heaven, and she's like, "No, I'm too full of darkness. I need to go fight Sauron." Right. And she jumps, that sequence where she's sailing in, and then we get the other characters seeing the comet falling. I think is pretty visually effective. Like, it's engaging. It's like, oh, this looks cool. Yeah. But it gets to my question of like, so she bails. Is she planning on swimming back? Like, do elves get tired? Like, I don't know.
What is elf swim game like?
Exactly. I don't know. And that's not something Lord of the Rings needed to touch on because it was telling this big epic fable. But if you're going to do a week-to-week TV show, I kind of need to know what the rules are. Like, I need to know what their like, we get a scene with Galadriel where she basically one-hit KOs a fucking ice troll. And it's like, cool. She's a badass that's unstoppable. Great. That's engaging. Cool. Like, I need to know what are her limits? Does she have them? We know they can die in Middle Earth because we see her brother is dead and we see their like the grave trees. But like, can she drown? You know what I mean? Like, I know she can get her head cut off, but can she drown? I don't know.
Is that what happened to her brother?
I don't. No, we do not know how brother died, other than it was in combat.
Oh, but then why did you say she can get her head chopped off?
Because you get stabbed in combat, and so I'm assuming if he died in battle, he got stabbed or got head cut off.
Maybe he got put into a barrel of water
and he drowned. Good point. Solid point.
Okay, so then what's the Eldron stuff?
Elrond is he's helping this.
How do you say his name?
Elrond.
I just call him Hugo Weaving every time.
I get it's Elrond. Excuse me, even I'm pronouncing it Elrond. It's L. Ron Hubbard. No, Elrond. No. All we know at this point is he is helping build a massive forge. I'm going to presume it is a forge to build the Rings of Power, which we get a brief mention of in Fellowship of the Ring and in the prologue expositioned up in Lord of the Rings. That's where the One Ring comes from. And in episode 2, which you haven't watched yet, he goes to get the assistance of the dwarves. And that actually is the sequence with him and his dwarf friend is actually the closest where it becomes like, oh, this is a show. Like, because he has a previous relationship with his dwarf and they need to like, and it's actually a cool bit because we find out the dwarf, this dwarf prince is all pissy at Elrond because he hasn't shown up in 20 years. And the dwarf is like, yeah, for an elf, 20 years is nothing. But for me, I got married, I had kids, I've had a whole life, and you just weren't there for it. And I'm like, oh, actually, this is actually pretty good. This is actually because it's people shit. It's like, yeah, time's different for me, so I wasn't around. And of course, the dwarf is pissy because like my life doesn't work that way. You can't just show up.
That's like Lightyear.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's engaging human stuff as opposed to just high-minded, we need to stop the great evil from destroying reality. It's like, I don't give a shit about this. I don't care. Yeah. And then meanwhile, we've got, I think we're supposed to understand is that humans played a big part in Morgoth's bullshit. And so the elves still don't trust the humans. And so they basically police the humans. And so we've got this one elf who's making eyes at the hot farmer lady. And they've got a little thing, and then they have to, but we find out there's a village that's been again for
who's that girl?
She's just some farmer lady, Bronwyn. She's just some farmer lady she's got eyes for the elf guy. She was a big
chunk of the episode.
Yeah, she was. Her kid finds a sword that looks like it's a fucking Sauron sword.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming shenanigans are going to ensue. Okay. But and that's another thing the show does a lot of. Like people just run into each other like from fate, I guess. Like the fact that Galadriel has spent lifetimes searching for Sauron, and then the second she bails on the ship, she immediately runs into a guy that's like, "Oh, I know orcs. Yeah, we got those." You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, wait, how? She missed this for centuries, and then we get a village that just happens to be being raided by orcs, and it's like, well, this is convenient, but that's a lot of the show.
The good thing is though that I'm actually liking it more as you're telling me about it, DJ. The bad news is like, am I not smart enough to watch this show?
I'm interested to find out because I wouldn't say that my Lord of the Rings knowledge is particularly encyclopedic, but again, I have read Silmarillion and stuff like that, so I am interested to see what more people that like just watch Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings and watch this show, what their experience is like. Are they left out of?
And I did watch Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like I saw them and they were excellent a decade ago.
I think you're touching on a good point that this show might expect you to have kind of a borderline encyclopedic knowledge, or at least you are able to recite the Lord of the Rings movies by heart. Like you know them. You know what I mean?
I feel like I have to rewatch them because as we were going through this, I was like, I don't fucking remember anything. I barely remember Galadriel. Like I felt so dumb watching this. Even though it looked sick.
Are you going to keep up with it or?
I don't know. I think it's unlucky for this show that I am enjoying the Game of Thrones fantasy show significantly more than this fantasy show because I'm getting my fantasy itch. If this was the only fantasy show on that I was watching right now, I suppose.
Yeah. And I think it's incredibly telling that you just said that because one of the things you talked about with House of the Dragon, and we're going to talk about, for those that have our patrons, we're going to talk about House of the Dragon episode 2 and what we're into. I'm going to grossly generalize what you said last week, but it was basically like, kind of like, I want more escapism in my fantasy, and that's all this is, and you still preferred House of the Dragon.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Maybe I just don't know what I want, DJ.
I think you do. I just think that there's more. Overall, I enjoyed these first 2 episodes of Rings of Power. I like House of the Dragon more because it's actually telling a story with people.
It's the story element. That's what was missing for me in this show. Yeah. I thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fucking characters. And I was like, I know that you think I know something right now. Let me tell you, I don't. And then I went to Twitter immediately after, DJ, because I was like, I gotta watch explainer videos. I gotta figure this out. Like, what are people on Twitter thinking? And Twitter was crickets.
I noticed that too. I did a tweet about it this morning, and I didn't get a lot of response. I was like, I wonder what other people are saying. And it's like nothing. I was like, well, it's not only weird that it's silent. It's weird that clearly people were watching it because the app crashed like 6 times while I was watching it.
And people said the second episode was available, but the first episode wasn't. And there was like different app issues for different people. There was a ton of people watching it. So I was like, so I did that thing that I do. I wonder if you do this too, where I go to Twitter, I do hashtag Rings of Power, and then I do people I follow.
Yep.
And the people that I follow, like, and I would have expected last night, like the Rachel Cushings of the world, if you don't know, she's just like a diehard Lord of the Rings fan. I was like, what are people who love Lord of the Rings, or what are people who are watching this saying? And it was like, I couldn't get anybody's read on it. And I was just thinking, that's weird. That is not what it was like for Game of Thrones, which is, regardless of how I felt about the pilot, everybody was talking about it.
Yep. 100%. It's interesting. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, considering they've already committed to making 50 episodes of the show.
Yeah, definitely. I think people might be liking it, though. It did look very good. I am intrigued by the world of Lord of the Rings, but I don't like feeling stupid when I'm watching TV, 100%. And I feel even like stupid admitting that. But I was like, what?
Yeah. I think I like it. Has good vibes, and it has moments where it touches on kind of the fantasy stuff that I like. Again, when we see the Harfoots, the way that they hide their whole community when these hunters go by, it's like that's cool. The visual of the comet falling is cool. There's elements that I like. I'll probably stick with it at least for this season, but I am worried, especially now talking to you, that they're too focused on the big mythology stuff and not just like it's stories about people. Like that's, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what people connect to. Like you, and I don't know that it's enough to evoke, because this show is clearly dependent on the visuals and tone set by Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies. Like, even though he's not involved, I think Warner Brothers has the right, because if you want to watch those movies, they're not on Amazon Prime, they're on HBO Max.
Is that true?
Yeah. So, and the Hobbit movies too. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what people are saying about it. And I do, and again, so it looks like Wizard Guy in episode 2, Roxy, we get I don't know if we're going to see more of it, but there's like a water dragon creature. It's like, that's cool. Like, that's cool. I'm into that. Like, but
did you know him?
Did I? No, it's a new thing. And that's the other thing is like, they need to do, like, I'm glad like they did an ice troll. It's like, it's a troll, trolls, but this one's an ice one. It looks different. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But like, if the wizard guy is Gandalf, it's like, but here's the problem. I'm already comparing your Galadriel to Cate Blanchett and your Elrond to Hugo Weaving. You're going to ask me, I don't care how good an actor this new Gandalf is, he's not fucking Ian McKellen. You know what I mean? Like, that's tough. Like, I don't, that's the good thing fucking House of the Dragon has, is I don't have to compare it to like any of that iconic shit.
Yeah, totally. Because thousands of years prior there means something.
Exactly. It means everybody dead. Or not born yet, actually. All the characters you're watching now are dead. All the characters you did watch haven't been born yet.
As you mentioned, it being a similar story about Sauron and like Galadriel, a similar setup to the initial game of Lord of the Rings. Game of Thrones is doing something similar, actually, with House of the Dragon, where the premise, it's just on a smaller scale, but who's going to sit on the throne?
Yeah.
That is the setup of the first episode.
True.
And so that, I don't know. Maybe that's the smart way to get people to do prequels, or maybe it's not the greatest way to get people to do prequels. Maybe sometimes it works, maybe sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, we'll just see if they're able to make, I think, a human connection here. And again, I think they need to really, if this is going to be a 50-episode show, you kind of need to get in the nitty-gritty. Like, we find out, I think in that first episode, we find out that the elf, I have it here, hold on, Arendir, the elf that's babysitting the humans and is making eyes at Bronwyn, the farm lady, he's been watching that place for 79 years, which means the lady he's making eyes at was not born yet. And that's weird. Like, that's when you put it that way, like when you put it within that distinct, like Aragorn and Arwen make out in Lord of the Rings, and she was around before he was, but he was watching this. He knew this girl as a kid. That's fucking weird. And we need to get into that. We need to I need to know, do elves get tired? Can they drown? What are their limits on Middle Earth? Like, you need to, or at least the creators need to know these things so that I have more confidence in the story.
Maybe they do. I bet they do.
One hopes. I mean, I have a little bit of concern of like, no, if Tolkien didn't write it in his appendices, it's not real. So I don't know. In the chat, Leonard Kim says, at the moment, I'm liking House of the Dragon a little better than Rings of Power. However, in the long run, I think Rings of Power will have more of my attention and appease my inner nerd more. Love both shows, though. A new guy says the visuals were dope. Everything looks real and touchable, but I don't care about what's happening, which could be a problem in the long run once the beauty hype has worn off. Glenn Caesar says,
I am so with that comment.
Yeah.
Yes. It did look real and touchable in the trees and all that. Like, that looked sick, but maybe it's not that I don't understand. Maybe it's that I didn't care.
It's possible.
And
that's
therefore,
possible.
yeah, I don't know.
And Glenn Caesar said, I'm with Roxy. I only watched episode 1. It was a slog to get through, lots of exposition, and I was kind of bored. watching it. We did get from Leonard Kim in the Discord asks, what are you most looking forward to in Rings of Power? I'm hoping we see a bunch of elves and a ton of action and battles. Roxy, so what could the show do that would like get you more? What would you like to see that would get you more into it?
Lover of love, shipper of ships, yo. No, I mean, characters that I give a shit about and their stories that I care about. Like, I understand that this is about the grand scope of things. So I do love to see all mystical things. Like you said, I really love escapism. Yeah. And on TV, if you're going to have this much money, you better transport me to a different place.
Yeah.
But right now, I don't care about... I'm going to go ahead and say anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say anybody.
Yeah. To your point about a lover, love, and shipper of ships, I'm kind of surprised with the whole elf-human romance that we're already starting that story with them having feelings for each other, as opposed to like, well, no, let these two like go on an adventure and like fall in love with each other. That's an arc. Them falling in love with each other. Starting them at this point is like, well, what? So they just keep falling more in love? You just kind of complicate. This is a weird place to start that story.
Deeper and deeper.
Or like, you know, you complicate it more, but it's like you're already starting at like, yeah. Anyway, whatever. That feels like a pretty tangible, clear kind of, love stories have been told in mythic literature for centuries. It doesn't need whatever.
What would you say that Rings of Power is about? Not plot, like theme.
I don't know that it has a theme yet.
Okay.
Or I don't know that it has communicated a theme to me.
And then I know we'll talk more about it, but what would you say House of the Dragon is about theme?
I think it touches on a lot. I've like Game of Thrones. I think it touches a lot of themes like gender dynamics, but I think ultimately, like Game of Thrones, how House of the Dragon is ultimately about power and how people wield power.
It's exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
But Lord of the Rings has the word power in it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that's been conveyed at all, and I don't know that that's what it's about. House of the Dragon, clearly I know what the theme of the show is.
Yeah.
One way or the other. I feel very clear on what its intention is, about what our end goal is and where we're at in terms of what the theme is. And so I think that that's what, despite me not liking a couple scenes in the premiere, I just think that they know I have trust that they know what they're doing and they're going to explain it to me.
Yeah.
And this show right now, I've only seen one episode, but I was like,
yeah, I think with Rings of Power, they're banking on like the Lord of the Rings thing. It's like evil, bad must stop, and it's like that's good for like movies, and it's kind of
that makes sense though. I didn't pick that up other than one character wants to stop something evil.
Yeah,
but maybe that is the theme of this show, and then I like evil dies tonight.
Yeah, I kind of think it's the similar problem that Star Wars has struggled with in recent years and expanding, in that like those three movies are evil, empire, bad must stop, and it's like, yeah, that's great for three movies. If you're going to make hours and hours and hours and hours of content, you're going to have to find other things to talk about.
Like, do you swim and drown?
Yeah, do you swim and drown? And I think the Lord of the Rings might, in my opinion, struggle with similar stuff that Star Wars has struggled with, in that it's such a cultural institution that people are afraid to like fuck with it too much. And it's like, yeah, but again, you're making hours of content, so you need to find new things to say, or at least new ways to say that thing. Anyway, that is it for us on Rings of Power. It sounds like we might, you know what? I will keep watching the season, and I will keep covering it on what we're into.
For the whole season, you're committing yourself right now?
I mean, it's 9 episodes, and we've already watched 2 of them. So I think it's 8 episodes, and we've already watched 2 of them. Hold on. Let me see how many episodes we have.
They commit to 50 episodes, and it's not even 10 episodes a season?
You're right. I think it has to be 10 episodes a season, because I think it's 5 seasons. Hold on. Rings of Power. Everybody loves this part where I have to look up something on air. Should have had it in front of me.
I like it.
Yay.
I could vamp for you, and yet
you refuse. You refuse.
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah, season 1's just 8 episodes, and we've already watched 2. So yeah, I can commit to 6 more episodes. And I think I like to see episode 2 a little bit more than episode 1, because I think the Elrond and Durin stuff is actually pretty interesting and could result in actual storytelling, which would be cool. And I'm curious.
It's going to be once a week now, right?
Yes. That is my understanding. So yeah. So before we go, Roxy, remind the kids at home what they should be looking out for from you.
You can find me everywhere at Roxy Stryer and follow my Twitter so that you can see how very stupid I do really feel watching these things live. And then also The World Girls, which is youtube.com/The World Girls. We've been putting out a lot of different fun videos on social media, so follow us all over the place at The World Girls and then on Instagram at World Girls WAP.
Yeah, check it out. You can find me at DJ Talks Trash. You can find this show everywhere that matters at Only Stupid Answers, but on Twitter.
You can get the else from stupid.
If you want more content like Spider-Versity and what we're into, like when we talk about House of the Dragon and She-Hulk, you can do that over at patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. And we'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.